Hello everybody and welcome back to Growing with TJ. It's an exciting time down here in the basement because I am finally going to start my pepper and eggplant seeds today, the 2026 growing season. I will go over the process of how I do it, what you'll need to be successful, and also the timing. The timing is very important. I've been fighting the urge to plant these seeds for quite a few weeks, but it's a very important reason why I held off to this date. Today is February 27th, and I'll explain that process as we get along in the video. But in the past, I've started them too early. I've also started them too late. So, after you're doing this for a few years, you're gonna kind of figure it out. And this year, I think I finally got the timing down just right. So let's get into it and start planting some pepper and eggplant seeds. I am gonna be planting my pepper and eggplant seeds in these 6 cells right here. In the past, I used to start them straight up in this 2-inch pot. I kind of changed these 6 cells just because I like it a little bit better. I'm also growing a ton of, pepper and eggplant seeds for the garden, also for a plant sale that I like to do. So it's just a little bit easier to use these 6 cells to start them all up. Eventually, I will pot them up into these 2-inch, and then they will be living out the rest of its time indoors until they get planted out into the garden. So you can really start them in whatever you'd like. It's up to you depending on the space and what you prefer. Now I am using Happy Frog potting mix, which if you're going to use the potting mix, you must screen it. This is a 1/4-inch screen. I already screened all my soil, obviously. And I also boiled water 2 days ago, put it in here, mixed it up, so that should take care of any fungus gnat eggs, and it made my starting mix sterile. If you're going to use a seed starting mix, you do not have to screen it. You do not have to boil water. It's already sterile. It's already screened, so you can just use it as is. So let's go through this, how I fill these up really quickly. I have other videos about this, but I'll show you here. I like to fill it up to the very top. Even it out. I got it filled up. Then I just take my other 6 cell and I'm going to push down on here to get good soil contact here at the bottom. Now you don't want to slam it down. You don't want to compact it too much, but just give it a nice little push down like that. Then I will finish up by topping off my cells. Just like that. Little tap down to make it even. And there you have it. That is as simple as it gets, and it's very easy to do. I could do both of these trays right here very quickly, and I'm all ready to start planting my pepper and eggplant seeds. Very quickly, I will go over what I am planting in this tray right here. I do have some more varieties that I'm going to be planting in this one for my plant sale, but I'll just go over the ones that I'm going to be putting in the garden just really quickly. We'll start off with the bell peppers. I'm planting quite a bit of bell peppers because I love bell peppers and I like to get them on the stand. They sell very well. So I'm going to be starting a lot of bell peppers. And also, I like to pick my bell peppers because I can't wait. So I want to have a lot of plants in the garden so that I can get them to change color to red and yellow and, all the different colors that you can get with the peppers. So I'm planting a ton of them to make sure I can have all different colors for me to eat and all different colors for me to have on the stand. So right here, bell peppers, SVP B8415. This is a bell pepper I grew last year. Another one I grew last year, King of the North, sweet pepper, a very delicious tasting bell pepper. This is a new one for me this year that I'm excited to try. This is called the Sprinter F1 OG. It is a hybrid. Next up, I have Olympus F1. Right here from Baker Creek, Ozark Giant. Now we're moving out of the bell peppers, and this is a very, very good sweet pepper. I highly suggest you plant this one in your garden. This is the Jimmy Nardello Italian. Delicious, delicious pepper. Next up, we have the Lunchbox pepper. This is like a snacking pepper, a little smaller, like smaller bell pepper. Very good snacking pepper. Moving into some hot peppers, we have the Flaming Flare, which this is a Fresno pepper. First time or second time growing it. I grew it last year. Absolutely love the Flaming Flare. Here we have a jalapeno. This is the Jalafuego. In the past, I've grown early jalapeno, and I just want to switch it up this year. So we're going to give this one a shot. I've read a lot of great things about this pepper. Next up is the Sargento, which is a Poblano pepper, and I have not grown Poblano peppers in a while, so I'm looking forward to that. Here we have a Velociraptor F1, and this is a Habanero pepper. I'm not too big on hot peppers, but I know some people that like them and like to make sauces from them, so I'm going to throw some of these in this year. Now, my two eggplant varieties that I'm planting in the garden this year, the first one is Fairy Tale, which is a mini eggplant, purple with white streaking. I have not grown this before. I usually grow your typical black eggplant, so I'm switching it up this year. And the last one here is the Aninna eggplant. And this is the same thing. It's a purple with white streaking. And this is supposed to be a really great tasting eggplant and a very productive eggplant. So I'm looking forward to planting this one. These seeds were very expensive, so I'm hoping for good results. One thing I like to do before I drop any of my seeds in is I like to make my indents beforehand. That way, when I'm starting to put my seeds into the soil, I'm just dropping in seeds. I'm not making an indent and dropping seeds, and it just speeds up the process a little bit. You can use anything to make your little indents. Sometimes use this toothbrush right here. I'm going to use a stick here. House Seals Homegrown Produce. My brother-in-law made this for me. And it's got all the inches right here. I'm going to really use this out in the garden, but I'm going to use this for this purpose right now. So you just go through peppers and eggplant, 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch deep. If you get somewhere around there, you'll be just fine. You do not have to be exact. Some plants like lettuce, they like light to germinate. So when it comes to that, you might have to be more exact. But for these, just 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch deep. So I just go through, make my little indents, just like that. And you can really fly through this. So I'll go through and do that for all my cells right here. One thing I do want to mention is please get your markers, put your variety on there, put the date, and when you put your seeds in there, put it right into the cell. That way you do not forget. I see too many people think they're going to remember what variety it is, what they planted, and they always end up forgetting. I am one of those people. So just erase all doubt, make your tags, make sure you put them in right away. That way you know exactly what varieties are where. Before I drop some seeds into the soil right here, let's talk about timing. When is the right time to start your pepper seeds indoors? You're going to want to know when your last frost date is, or your average last frost date. For me, it is around April 24th. However, we don't normally see a frost at that time. So you just need to figure out when the average frost date is for you. I like to have my peppers indoors growing anywhere from 8 to 10 weeks, and that is plenty of time in my opinion. You don't want to have a massive pepper transplant and not be able to get them out in the ground, and then you're just dealing with big peppers in here and you got to water them, take care of them, and it's just a pain in the butt. So you want to figure that out. For me, my target date to put them out into the ground is May 1st, but this can vary. It can be May 1st to May 15th, but my target is May 1st. So today is exactly 9 weeks until May 1st. So for me, it's a perfect time to start my pepper seeds indoors. The main goal of starting your peppers indoors isn't to get a massive pepper transplant. That's not what we're looking for. We're just looking for a nice size pepper plant that has a nice root system and is a strong, healthy, sturdy plant that when you go to plant it into the garden, it's going to be able to thrive and take off. And that's going to give you that head start on the season. Now, the timing is important because you do not want to start your pepper plants indoors and go put them outside if the soil temperature isn't right and the ambient temperature is not right. Really, you should have nights no less than 50 if you're going to transplant them out into the garden. And you're going to want to be seeing, your highs during the day into the 70s. If you don't have those temperatures, you're going to put your transplant out into the ground and it's just going to sit there. It's not going to grow. It's not going to have the right temperatures and the soil temperature isn't going to be right. and it's not going to thrive. So you want to time it so that you have a nice strong plant and you're putting it out into the garden with the optimal temperature and soil temperature, so that when you do that, it's going to thrive and take off. And that is how you get a head start, by starting your pepper seeds indoors. You got to keep that in mind. You don't want to just throw them out there, getting nights in the 40s. That is not ideal, and it's not what you want to do. All right, now that you got your seed packet and you got your tag, you always want to have your tag. We're going to start dropping them into your indents that you already made. So this process is pretty easy and pretty quick. You're already ready to go. You're just dropping them in, putting your tag in, and moving on. So right here we have King of the North. This is from Fedco Seed Company. So let's get them out. One thing I want to mention, I see a lot of newer gardeners, they're starting their pepper seeds and their tomato seeds at the exact same time. That is something that you do not need to do, and you don't want to do. Peppers take a lot longer to grow. You want to give them more time indoors, whereas tomatoes, they grow a lot quicker, so you don't need to give them 8 to 10 weeks. Really, for me, tomatoes, I give them about 4 to 6 weeks, and that's it. And then they're they're going to be big enough and healthy enough that they're going to be ready to go right out into the ground. So let's drop in these King of the North seeds right here. Pepper seeds are pretty easy to plant. It's a pretty big seed, very easy to handle. You just drop one seed in each one. You can put 2 seeds in each cell if you want to ensure that they're going to germinate. For older seeds, I will do that. But for seeds that are 1 to 2 years old, I buy from reputable seed companies, and I have very good germination, so I don't have to worry about that. So I just put one in if they're newer seeds. So I got my seeds in right away. I'm going to put my tag right into the cells. That way I know exactly what I planted. We'll do one more here. This is the Sprinter F1. This is a hybrid. It's supposed to be a very good pepper plant. This is from Johnny's. A lot of my seeds are from Johnny's. This packet, I only get 10 seeds, so I'm hoping that it's a very productive pepper. Just drop your seeds in just like that, and I will put all my seeds in, and then I'll come back around and I will cover up all my seeds. Just lightly cover them up, and you'll be good to go. So there we go. Got the Sprinter in. Close it up. Grab your tag right away and stick it in. And that's all it takes to start in your pepper seeds. Okay, I got all my pepper seeds planted. I got them covered up. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this sprayer right here, and I'm going to wet the soil down a little bit, just get a little bit more moisture. I did mix this soil a couple days ago, so it's a little drier than I would like it. So we'll hit them with the sprayer. Usually I'm using a sprayer that you got to do by hand like this. Investing in this little pump sprayer here, and it has been a game changer. So just slightly go across them, just like that, and just moisten up the soil. I really like this sprayer because it does not move the soil around a lot. It's very fine mist, and you can really get the soil nice and moist. So just like that. Pepper seeds really like the soil to be anywhere from 80 to 85 degrees to germinate. As I mentioned before, I highly suggest using a heat mat. I only use a heat mat for eggplant, tomatoes, and peppers, and that's pretty much it. But down here in the basement, it's only 65 degrees. So in my conditions, a heat mat is pretty much a must if I want to have good consistent germination and also a lot quicker germination. So peppers, they can germinate anywhere from 7 to 21 days. If you don't have a heat mat and you're in the conditions I am in, they could take up to 2 weeks, 21 days to germinate, and that is just too long for me. I want them to germinate within 7 to 10 days because obviously my timing that I'm going by is 9 weeks from the day I want to transplant out in the garden. So I don't want them being 2-3 weeks and then I'm falling behind. So Heat mat is a great idea and I highly suggest it. This is just a cheap heat mat from Amazon, but it works really well. You have here that you can set it. I'll set mine about 82, 85, depending. We'll see. I usually go in that range. But I do highly suggest having a probe. You can put the probe down in the soil. It's going to tell you what the temperature is. I like to put it somewhere in the middle because I've noticed if I put it on the end, the middle of my 6 cells over here, they can get into a higher temperature. So I like to put it right in the middle, and that ensures that all my cells are relatively in the range of 80 to 85. And that is just going to really help you with germination. It's just, I'm telling you, it's going to germinate them quicker, and you're just going to have a good overall consistent germination throughout all your cells. And it's not going to be as spotty as if you were not using a heat mat. So a heat mat is something to look into for your pepper seeds, and I highly suggest it. The last thing I like to do when starting my pepper seeds indoors is I like to use a humidity dome. I only use a dome like this for tomatoes, peppers, and eggplants, sometimes flowers, but I will put them on top here like this. I like to put a little hole in here to let some air out, and then every day I will come down here and take it off just for a little bit, just to get some good airflow in there, and then I put it on top. So this is just going to keep your soil moist, and it's going to create a great environment inside this dome to help your pepper seeds germinate quicker and consistently. So with the heat mat and the humidity dome, you'll guarantee that you have a good germination rate and a good overall consistent germination of your pepper seeds. Those two things are very important. I find them very helpful when starting pepper seeds indoors. All right, guys, there you have it. I got both of my flats planted of pepper and eggplant seeds. Hopefully in 7 to 10 days, they are going to pop up and germinate. Just two things to remember: put them on a heat mat, 80 to 85 degrees would be just fine, and put a humidity dome on there to help speed up and a better consistent germination rate. One thing I did want to mention that I did not before is when you have the humidity dome on there and you start seeing seedlings pop up, you want to get that off right away. There's no need for the humidity dome at that point. If you miss that window, you might end up with some leggy seedlings, and it's just going to hinder the growth process. So if you're not going to be around to check your trays every day, I would rather have it off than on at that point, because you're going to miss that window and it's just not going to help you out at all in the long run. So something to think about if you're not going to be around. Maybe you don't want to have the humidity dome on. The last thing I want to mention briefly is the hardening off process. It is a very important step that you must take to acclimate your seedlings to the outdoors, because right now they're growing in a controlled environment and they need to be acclimated to the outdoors, or else they're going to have huge transplant shock. They could even end up dying. So I'll have a video about that real soon, but I wanted to mention it to have it on your mind that the hardening off process is extremely important. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, subscribe if you did. I'd really appreciate it. And look for some more videos coming out very soon. We finally are getting some warmer weather. I'm super excited to get out in the garden, get everything cleaned up, direct sow some things, and really get this season underway. Thank you, and have a wonderful day. Keep on growing.